Well, here's a little sample of the song Upside Down Polka, Christy Hengel and his band, from some 1995 material recorded at the Randall Bandwagon program in Mankato. And gee, I got Christy here in the studio, and how exciting it is to be able to visit with you, Christy, and work with you on your new material. Actually, some new material and some old material. There's some really old stuff here going back to 1952. And so I think what we'd like to do is find out a little bit of your background. You've got a lot of things to tell us here, and I think you said your history with the Concertina goes back to, what did you say, 1939, I think.
39 is when I first learned how to play Concertina. I bought my first one on 39 of August.
And if I remember, what you told me, it wasn't just handed to you either.
No.
You had to kind of work it off.
I trapped skunks and weasels to pay for it. I'd run over to my neighbor and Mike Turbis on the farm, and he was my cousin. And I got my first concertina from him, and also the second one, 1939 and 1941.
Okay, that's what you call working your way up the ladder the hard way.
The smelly way, too.
Yeah, that's about it. And then that was your playing career. Then somewhere it's around 1944, which is the year I was born.
Yep.
That was the year that you got involved in your tuning and your rebuilding of concertinas.
That's right.
Tell us about what happened during that period of time.
In 1944, I was experimenting with the triple reed concertina. It belonged to Whoopi John, his name even on the front on the bellow, John E. Wilford. And I tore it all down, took all the reed blocks off, the action, everything off, and made it from a 3-reed into a 4-reed, and I put an octave switch on it. So then I had a quadruple concertina. That's my means of getting the quadruple. Couldn't afford it no other way, just to rebuild my own. So that was quite a gimmick I did with that.
Well, that's really good. That was when you started your tuning, your rebuilding, and you tuned concertinas for a lot of the other players. I remember you say you tuned, you repitched Elmer Scheidt's Paddock back
1953.
Yep.
I bet so.
And 53, that's about the year, that was also kind of a milestone year for you.
That's right.
Tell us what happened in 53.
I tuned Elmer Scheidt's Concertina for the first time and everything in 1953 of August. And then right after Christmas, that's when I put the down payment on the factory that made the Paddock Pearl Queen Concertina in Chicago.
That was basically the beginning of the Hengel Concertina.
That was the beginning of it. I didn't get the first one made until 1955.
Okay.
But then all the things you have to get together and gather up to get this thing rolling, and that took something.
Oh yeah, sure. Yes. So anyhow, 55, then in 1955, you actually manufactured the first concertina with the Hengel name on it.
That's right, yep. Don Klausner got it, the first one for recording and everything with the Babe Wagner Band. And that really put me on my feet.
Sure.
For the first concertina to get advertised with a dance band like that.
That's 1955, and then as the years went by, you did start out in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, did you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then somewheres a couple years later, I think you said you moved to Waseca.
Yes, when I made my reed form dies, that I did on the farm yet right after I quit the Six Fat Dutchman in 1952. And I was working on that, and then when I left the farm there with my dad, then we come to town in Sleepy Eye and worked in the basement there, and then I started putting this new concertina together, and in 1955 it was all ready to go then. It sounded wonderful and played good.
Sure. Still does.
Oh yes, it's still on the go. I can't even buy it for $10,000 right today.
That's something.
The guy said that's number one, he's keeping it.
You bet.
Yes.
That's one thing about good concertinas is they just get better with age, don't they?
They do, yeah, that's right. Cars wear out if you get too many miles, but more miles you put on a concertina, the better they get, and they don't wear out.
That's for sure. We were talking about your locations over the years. So you moved from Sleepy Eye to Waseca.
That's right.
And then what happened was at some point here, somewhere around the mid-'60s, then you moved to New Ulm, didn't you?
Yes, in 65.
And you're presently,
February 15th, we moved to New Ulm.
And you're still at that same location today now?
Yes, I was in the house upstairs first, and then we built a new home in 1965, moved in 66, and that's where I put my factory. It's been there ever since in the one part of the house. Yes.
And I think, Christy, I think I can honestly say, being around concertinas myself since the late 50s. I think I can honestly say that you've created a demand for concertinas that's basically been unparalleled in the history of the concertina industry. You worked hard to get this instrument going here, and you got a nice playing, easy playing, wonderful tone. You developed that, and it really took off for you. And at one time, you had like up to a couple hundred people waiting.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah,
it was quite a waiting list.
You bet.
I took a bigger bite when I could chew, though. That was the trouble on all those orders.
Sure.
Yeah, well, didn't realize that it takes so long to make each one, and then figure up all the orders, and it just never, there was no end then.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it goes to show that it really was well received by concertina players, and still is to this day. You bet. And talking about this day, I got to also, from the bottom of my heart, I have to thank you for all the work and time you're spending with myself.
That's real nice.
And with our son Jay Minar and Ambrose Cadet from Mankato. We're working with you in the shop, and you're showing us all the details.
Oh yeah.
Every minute detail of the building of your concertinas. And we appreciate that very much.
We want to keep that Hengel name going.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to stay on there.
You bet.
Whoever's going to take this over, that's talking to you here.
You bet.
That's all.
And
I'd like to see it go that way.
And I consider it an honor to be the person to take this on in the future and to take the Hengel concertina into the next century.
That's right.
So you bet.
It's a well-loved instrument by everybody, the dancers or the musicians that play them, or the listeners, anybody. It's just, they marvel the sound of a Hengel concertina, so you can't take that away from anybody, I guess.
Yep, you bet.
Yeah.
So we should talk a little bit about some of the awards here that you've been the recipient of. This goes back to just kind of recent years here now. In 1989, Christy, you were inducted into the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame.
Yes, that's right.
And then I think you told me in 1990, the World Concertina Congress, which is headquartered in Michigan.
Yeah, that's right on the edge of Milwaukee, Allenton.
Inducted into that organization. And then tell us, Christy, later on in 1990, you went to Washington.
Washington, D.C., that's right. Endowment for Arts, I guess you call it.
Yeah, I think National Endowment for the Arts. That's exactly right. Yep. And you had a picture with Charles Kuralt.
Yeah, and all AP News, it was all over the United States in newspapers. People really looked when they saw all that. It was quite an honor.
And that was followed up by National Geographic magazine.
Yep.
I'm looking at a copy of it right here, January 1991, you bet.
They come from Washington, D.C. to come meet me about this here, because he met up with me there, and then they come over to my house.
Sure. Well, Christy, I guess that kind of summarizes our little visit here, and thanks again for working with me here in the studio, and it's been a pleasure. We had lots of good times, and many more good times to come.
Sure. Many thanks to you, Jerry, for putting this all up, because somebody don't go after me, they'll never catch me on it, see? This week gets me on it. So, get all the information. That's pretty nice for the public to know.
And also, all of your stuff that you've ever recorded is here on this one cassette.
That's right.
So it's
old ball of wax now, one lump.
Exciting to share this with all the polka lovers. So.
That's right. We want to have them enjoy it.
So thanks again, and have a good day, Christy.
Yeah, same to you, and thank you very much, Jerry. Now, goodbye.
Bye-bye.